Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome into Analyzing Attitude, episode number 10. That's right, we hit 10 episodes today, and this is a great one. It's the first episode of 1998. Stone Cold Steve Austin has put the locker room on notice, and he's on a hit-and-run mission. Tonight, we count down to the Royal Rumble. Shawn Michaels calls out The Undertaker, and a whole lot more. It's Analyzing Attitude, episode 10. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is a good one. Welcome into Analyzing Attitude, episode 10. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because as soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers, we are giving away a free PlayStation 5. That's right. All you got to do is take in our content, enjoy along with us, like and subscribe to our channel, and you could have a brand new PlayStation 5 on your doorstep, hopefully by WrestleMania when we hit 1,000 subscribers. It is the start of 1998, Mike Sweeney. And listen, the Rattlesnake has put the rest of the locker room on notice. We are from New Haven, Connecticut, the New Haven Coliseum tonight. We start off with Stone Cold. We don't even drop the bombs. We don't sound the alarms. Stone Cold Steve Austin is opening up the show before the show even starts off properly.
Yep. No intro music. It's him just putting the whole Royal Rumble participants on notice. He's, juking and jiving.
He's making sure that the bleep button's working. He drops off and starts the show off with a son of a bitch. It's cold out here. Tells the camera along to follow along. He says he's got the notice that everyone is gunning for Stone Cold Steve Austin, the 1998 Royal Rumble. He said Stone Cold is going to strike first, and that's the bottom line. Everyone in the locker room has a pager, and they know when their pager goes off, they get the 316. That means their ass belongs to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve says he's going to do unto others before they do unto him. So get your little set your little channel. Don't change it. Sit your ass back. Don't touch the dial, because Stone Cold is going to unleash hell and raise hell only like Steve Austin can raise hell, and that's it. I think it's really interesting that we're exactly 6 months removed from Rey Mysterio being thrown like a lawn dart into the back of a production truck on WCW. The Outsiders attacking before the fire lights on the pyro and Nitro. WWE's kind of seeing what's working on the other side. They're stealing a little bit of it here. And they're reminding you, the one thing that WCW didn't do, don't touch that channel. Stay right here, because this is going to be good.
Absolutely. It's smart to start your thing off with Stone Cold Steve Austin, because as our ratings have been seen, he is our draw. So put his beautiful face on there to start the show right when the cameras roll. And
get yourself a T-shirt while you're at it.
There you go. They, like we've been saying, they know where the bread's being buttered, so keep on it.
Yeah, and Jim Ross welcomes us in this week, and he welcomes us to the first Raw of 1998. He mentions that we will hear about Mike Tyson's involvement at WrestleMania 14 in a big, big way. The WWF books Don King to do a promo talking about working with Vince McMahon, working with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson, deal not being done yet, but we're getting really close to Mike Tyson appearing at WrestleMania.
Yes, and the way they did it too was very smart, and they just kept plugging it throughout the whole show, and I think it ended up being like the second to last thing on the show. But if you have Don King on Monday Night Raw, people are going to be tuning in.
Well, we opened the show properly with Farooq versus Ken Shamrock. Now, these two met 5 months ago, and we get a replay of this moment where Farooq actually gave Ken Shamrock a spine buster and caused some internal bleeding. This was during the Intercontinental Championship match, or Intercontinental Championship tournament, a few months ago. The Nation comes out, Farooq, D'Lo, no Rock in sight.
Yep, gotta keep him hidden. He's too good to play lackey on the outside, and the match was a bit longer than the last two Nation versus Shamrock matches.
Had to be though, right?
Right. You're playing also with that looming feud of Farooq and the Rock butting heads, so you had to make Farooq as the leader look a bit stronger.
Ken Shamrock comes out to a massive pop, and I was a little surprised by how much of a, not that Ken Shamrock wasn't over at this time, but he got a really good reaction from this. And we're just a few weeks removed from In Your House to Generation X, and him headlining that pay-per-view where it didn't go great. There was a lot to be desired in that match. Ken Shamrock blew up and was gassed by the end of it, but he's getting another chance at an Intercontinental Championship here and kind of working his way through the Nation of Domination. The fan and the crowd support are with him 100% in this match, though.
Yes, he has the appearance and the I guess the aura. I didn't want to use that word.
He's got the legitimacy, though, right? I mean, people
Right.
know him as a legit MMA fighter that was king of that company for a long time.
Right, and one of Jim Johnston's, one of my favorite Jim Johnston songs is Shamrock's. It just
Pretty good.
ready to go kill somebody. It feels like.
Michael Cole reminds us that we're only 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble, but both these guys are in the match. That's important for the end of this one. And then Farooq starts this off hot and kind of jumps Ken Shamrock. Well, you mentioned it, and D'Lo are on the outside, kind of plotting and scheming along, and we get a little bit of back and forth action here. Some pretty hard hits. Farooq picks up Ken Shamrock for a Samoan drop and drops him pretty hard. Gets up and kicks him pretty hard in the sternum. Now we saw Farooq legitimately just like pretty much dismantle Ahmed Johnson on live national TV. It looked like one of those kicks that was for real, so hard that Ken Shamrock gave it oh shit that got picked up on camera when he got kicked. So Farooq landed it stiff here tonight, and then Shamrock rolls to the outside, and I think just to get away from Farooq laying it into him, and Shamrock gets thrown right back into the ring, and the Nation comes over when he gets thrown outside. And the referee makes sure they stay away. They got to stay away. They don't get involved at all. Shamrock gets thrown back in the ring. He takes a clothesline, gets thrown back out of the ring. I wonder if Ken was legitimately hurt here, because that's 3 times he's in and out of the ring and just trying to keep his distance and keep this match going.
So one of the times he was laying out there, like he really did look like just I'm out of it for a bit, because like probably took the wind out of his sails.
Yeah, he looked super gassed. And listen, we just kind of talked about with the main event at the pay-per-view. He was clearly blown up in a couple spots. I think this one, he might have just been beat up a little bit. But as I mentioned, Shamrock goes to the outside, and then here comes Rocky Maivia. The Rock comes out and stands on the ramp, gold chain, black shirt, and starting to look a little bit more like we recognize Rock from later in the 2000s, and maybe even the corporate champion a little bit here. A little bit of a tease of what he becomes. But we go to commercial break, and we come back. Rock's talking to D'Lo and Kama and trying to set something up. Neither one of them look like they're buying into Rocky's plan too well, but we're starting to plant seeds just a little bit more. And Rock's kind of running the show right now.
Yep. And like you said, I was going to say that as well. It's like he actually, like, he's been looking that way, but he looked like a bona fide star tonight, just as we go on to see him in his, appearance and dress up and swagger.
Yeah, we're not quite at Versace shirt mode yet.
No.
But we're getting very close.
Getting there. But, and to your point as well, strangely, for some reason, I remember like Kama and D'Lo like always kind of being all right with whatever The Rock was saying. But yeah, and
me too.
And this match, it just seemed like, all right, I guess we'll try that.
So Ken starts getting the upper hand on Farooq. Farooq gets a counter, and Kama goes over and grabs a chair, and Kama kind of screws this up a little bit. He goes to whip Ken Shamrock into the ring post, and then Farooq gets countered. Kama barely gets the chair up in time. This is our meat and potatoes of the night, because this looked like it could have been really bad if it had been about a half a hair shorter than it was, but Kama got the chair up just in time. Farooq eats it. We get a belly-to-belly suplex here. Before the match, we did a recap. Kama tapped out to the ankle lock. D'Lo tapped out to the ankle lock. So we're putting the ankle lock over here because we talked about it when Shamrock faced Farooq back in July. He beat him with the belly-to-belly. He hits the belly-to-belly on Farooq. We get the ankle locked in, and Farooq taps out. We get a winner here. So we've beaten D'Lo. We've beaten Kama. We've beaten Farooq. We've run through the Nation. That leaves one guy left, and that leaves The Rock. But we're still 2 weeks away from the pay-per-view. Going to be interesting to see how they set up what's going on with the Nation, Ken Shamrock, with 1 week to go to the pay-per-view.
Yep. And it's a beautifully done build to a pay-per-view. That's how you sell a match, especially you got one guy in a group. Keep feeding them to the monster that you're building over there in Ken Shamrock. I like this match probably the most because it like I said, we had those underlining stories with Farooq and The Rock. So it made Farooq look strong, made Ken look strong, and you made Rock kind of look like a fool here a little bit.
A little bit. And I'm glad you point out the looking strong thing, because we didn't just beat Farooq, we beat him with a chair. We did something to show that it takes a lot to beat this guy, because we're setting him up for the future as well, right? But
For sure.
The Rock's given Ken a pass the past couple of weeks, and he hops in the ring with him, and it looks like we're gonna get a little preview of what's gonna happen at the pay-per-view. Rock starts rolling up the sleeves, Ken starts squaring off. Ken turns his back to the entrance ramp, and this is gonna be a theme tonight. This is a bad idea. The glass doesn't shatter, but here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin. He stunners Ken Shamrock, making good on his threat earlier. The Rock turns around, trying to warn the nation of what's happening, but they're arguing on the outside from what just occurred in the match, which leaves Rock vulnerable and by himself. Bang, another stunner. Austin goes to leave through the crowd, and he gets swarmed by the fans to the point that he almost can't get over the barricade and has to fight his way through the exit. He shows up, spoiler alert, he shows up a few more times in this episode. He doesn't go back through the crowd again after this, because, listen, the fanfare for Stone Cold Steve Austin is through the roof at this point.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was thinking when he almost didn't even get over the rail. Like,
he basically started crowd surfing and had to swim his way through to the bottom.
It's like, oh my God, that is over like Rover right there. And to your point, that's what I was thinking as well. It's like, I bet you he doesn't do any more crowd work tonight.
I specifically started watching for it as soon as I saw that. And no, he does not. But we cut over to the commentary team. Jim Ross welcomed us into the show. We actually have Jim Ross, Michael Cole, and Kevin Kelly telling us that Kane has left Paul Bearer. We're going to hear from Paul Bearer tonight. And Paul Bearer has not heard from Kane since last week. We get a little bit of a recap. Undertaker, Kane fighting side by side. And apparently it's caused a stir between Kane and Paul Bearer. Let me find out. Owen Hart, who faced Shawn Michaels for the WWF Championship a week ago, will go one-on-one with Savio Vega at the end of this. The same guy who's the leader of the group we've been complaining about, that's been involved in these gang wars for, Mike, I went back and counted, 9 months. And they go on for 2 more, by the way. So a major step down. I was very disappointed about this. Now, they do a really good job in the match of explaining what happens, but I just not a great spot for Owen Hart.
No, and all due respect to Savio Vega, he was actually a very good person to have in the ring, but that Los Boricuas gimmick is just crap and been crap, and going from a personal feud with the WWF champion to fighting the leader of a lower bottom card group is not something I would say is a good push.
Yeah, definitely not a step up either.
No.
But Kevin Kelly starts to tell us again that we're going to hear from Don King by the end of the night. He gets interrupted by Jim Cornette talking over a microphone, and Jim Cornette starts walking to the ring with 2 gentlemen who we later find out are the president and vice president of the NWA, Howard Brody and Dennis Corluzzo. And obviously Corluzzo, now we know now, is one of Jim Cornette's absolute best friends in real life. But we're going to get to them in a minute. We go to a commercial break because Jim Cornette's talking in the ring. We come back, and there's a recap of Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood between Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker, and we find out that we're gonna see for the first time on live TV a recap of this match. There's a lot of blood and guts in here. Back to Vince McMahon a couple weeks ago telling us that things are gonna get a little more real. We're gonna start showing some of the blood and guts. We kind of championed it 3 episodes ago, Mike, where we talked about how much we loved when they did the still shots. We're getting almost full motion images of this match that was a WWF Championship from just a few months ago, and obviously what will eventually be the Royal Rumble main event as well.
Yeah, and I was wondering if I thought it was a good idea because it's been a few months. So we have the people that have wanted to pay for it probably already have by now, so we can show some of it, and the fact they haven't done much to build to this match. So let's show them the carnage that happened the last time these 2 were in the ring. So
Yep, go ahead, sir.
It was a good idea to recap that in this episode.
We come back from the commercial break proper, and Jim Cornette reminds us that his Cornette commentary last week, he was asked and talked about tradition. He introduces the aforementioned Howard Brody and Dennis Corluzzo, the president and vice president of the NWA. Cornette mentions the names of former NWA champions, which I thought was really interesting because he mentions Harley Race, but he doesn't specifically on the microphone mention anybody that's on the other channel. Now, obviously, when you think about the NWA Championship, the most commonly thought of name is Ric Flair, but he's currently under a WCW contract. But after this, Cornette goes over to the commentary and he mentions Ric Flair specifically. But Corluzzo and Brody have brought the NWA North American Heavyweight Championship with them, and the winner of this next match will be awarded on WWF programming the NWA North American Heavyweight Championship. Cornette does the announcements for this, his Best Sonny impersonation. He introduces Barry Windham, but does not refer to him as Blackjack Windham, which has been his WWF gimmick for the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. And it's shown on the bottom of the screen when he comes out, Blackjack Windham, but he's announced as Barry. Wyndham's taking on Jeff Jarrett, the self-proclaimed best wrestler on the planet. We've already abandoned there's WWF superstars, and then there's me intro. It's already gone. It lasted 2 weeks. It didn't go away fast enough, in my opinion. But yeah, obviously both these guys, mainstays in the South for a long time, and two guys, when you think of the NWA, obviously come to mind.
I don't know where we were getting at with the whole Cornette thing when he just randomly started doing it last week, but this was pretty cool to have, Barry Windham, who was a staple, Jeff Jarrett was a staple too, but Jerry Jarrett being his dad and things like that in those times. I actually kind of popped for it for a little bit just because I was like, I like some
very
NWA
cool
wrestling.
very, very cool visual. Yeah. As I mentioned, Cornette goes over and takes the commentary seat, and he was on one. Listen, after a couple high impact moves, Jeff Jarrett his Jackie Fargo, strut. Jim Cornette says in 1848, the Illinois state champion was Abraham Lincoln. So the NWA is linked directly to the 16th president of the United States. And after a few back and forth moves, Blackjack Windham gets the upper hand here, and Cornette's asked if these are NWA rules, and if an over-the-top rope is an automatic disqualification, which was a Dennis Corluzzo thing, by the way. Mm-hmm. He says he doesn't know if Tim White's aware of those rules. Jeff Jarrett gets his foot in the ropes, and that is not supposed to be a stoppage in the NWA either. So Jim Cornette says he's got to go over and have a conversation with the official, and as he does so, Dennis Corluzzo gets Tim White's attention. Barry Windham goes for a superplex. Cornette hits him with a tennis racket. Jeff Jarrett gets the cover and the win, still undefeated after re-debuting, and now is the NWA North American Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, and he still hit the suplex too. That's what I laughed too when he cracked him with the racket. It's like, I think he already had him kind of too high, so he's like, well, I can't just drop him. So
hang on, buddy, here we go.
But it worked out. He can be knocked out, and Jeff just gets the pin.
That's the other thing is Barry Windham kicks out at like 3 1/4 of 1 millimeter of a second too. They award Jeff Jarrett the belt. He hits the Jackie Fargo strut, and the crowd goes nuts. They're not going nuts for him. They're not going for the strut. Jeff Jarrett's pager gets the 316 as well. Here comes StoneCold Steve Austin. Austin hits the stunner and does his own Jackie Fargo strut in the ring as himself. Gives the double birds to Jeff Jarrett as he's on the ground. Runs out of the ring, as we mentioned, not through the crowd. Goes over the commentator's desk and grabs a chair and runs back up the ramp. I wonder if he was planning on going over that barricade and saw the swarm of fans standing there again. It chose to redirect up the ramp.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing because when he just randomly jumped on the table and then just got off of it, grabbed a chair, and just started. I was like, I just don't think he knew what he was going to do in that situation. But, with how chaotic his persona is, it still works. It's like, yeah, it's just him.
And we talked about this 3 weeks ago, but the stuff that they were having Owen Hart do, they were also having StoneCold Steve Austin do. Now we're going to get to Owen in a little bit, but Owen was running back through the crowds a couple weeks ago too. And one thing we glossed over on the last episode was Vince McMahon was sitting in an empty arena for a promo and just mentioned that WWF fans are great and that you can expect a little more crazy in 1998. And he thanked them for a great year and is looking forward to another year with violence and chaos and excitement in the WWF. we haven't touched on Stone Cold Steve Austin knocking Vince McMahon off the apron 3 weeks ago. Since then, it hasn't even been addressed. They haven't been in the same ring, and we still haven't got any mention of where Vince McMahon is outside of the Don King stuff that we're going to talk about in a little bit, which is really interesting to me because they're kind of just letting it linger.
They are, and I think once we get to the punchline here in a few weeks, like we will understand why. But I think this is such a big thing for Vince to pursue that he's putting the Stone Cold thing in the back burner, trying not to mention it, trying not to let it fester because he has this other shiny thing he's trying to get on board with. But I think it pays off all right. But it is very interesting that they had no interaction ever since the boss gets knocked off onto his ass by Stone Cold.
Austin's a great talker. Rock's a great talker. You've got all of these great mouthpieces right now, and you still got Ken Shamrock kind of as a tweener in the top of the middle of the card. We get a Ken Shamrock backstage interview, and he's supposed to be addressing what happened with Stone Cold Steve Austin a minute ago. And Shamrock says, "Stone Cold, you're a marked man, but I'm a marked man." And he says he wants to get him and Austin get rid of 28 other men, and they can get it on at the end at the Royal Rumble. So we know Ken Shamrock is in. He's been in. He was the first one to declare, but this wasn't great from Ken.
No, and he kind of had that deer in the headlights look as he's talking, kind of like this, like, and you're a marked man. I'm a marked man. I want it to be.
We're all marked men.
Yeah, and it's like you just got stunned, and you're supposed to be this like killing machine. Why aren't you more pissed off? But it not great. Let's just keep the microphone out of his hands for a bit.
And somehow it gets worse. We go on to the Truth Commission versus the DOA again. So not only do we get the Los Boricuas in this show, we also get the Truth Commission that was supposed to be done 2 weeks ago, and the DOA. Sonny comes out as the guest ring announcer, so they're trying to give some semblance of entertainment to this crap that they keep putting on. Kevin Kelly and Michael Cole are supposed to be giving us updates about the Royal Rumble, but Sonny's out in a schoolgirl shirt, a skirt, a mini shirt, and a lollipop. And Michael Cole and Kevin Kelly screw up the date of the Royal Rumble. And Jim Ross says, "I know you guys are excited to see Sonny out here, but the date's actually August 18th for the Rumble." And it was just one of those funny moments where we've talked about how rough Michael Cole was on commentary in this era. And they were both clearly a little bit distracted by what was going on in the ring.
For sure. It's like, come on, like
after not being on commentary 2 weeks ago, the Jackal's back on commentary tonight, and JR lets us know the Jackal's going to be making his in-ring debut for the WWF on Shotgun Saturday night. What's interesting about this is wrestling on WCW tonight is Rick the Model Martel. He was actually supposed to be Rick Martel's partner in WCW and backed out on the contract at the last minute to take this spot with the WWF. So we all know how much Don Callis has done behind the scenes now and all the stuff he did in ECW, what he's doing in AEW now. He used to be an in-ring performer, and he makes his debut on the Shotgun Saturday night, but was supposed to be an in-ring performer, not a manager on WCW.
Yeah, and I don't know which direction he should have actually gone because it didn't pay off at all in WWF for him. And I mean, he had the opportunity to work and learn underneath the model Rick Martel, who's one of the best in-ring professionals there is. So I think he probably made the wrong choice on that end.
And the other thing we're doing, and he did it last week, and we pointed it out, and I kind of feel gross pointing it out again, but it happened. He has the gemstone on his forehead, and he gives out another one to like a somewhere between a 15 and 18-year-old girl. And we show it on TV, and it just felt gross. It really did.
Oh, just like this slowly, like placing his hands on their head, and
yeah,
it's like
he's supposed to be a cult leader,
right.
And I get it, but like,
go for somebody older.
Yeah, it just wasn't a great look. But let's get to the in-ring action. Not much to write home about yet again. After a missed frog splash by Recon, 8-Ball gets the hot tag. He hits the DDT. Kurgan is not out with them, and Jackal says the sky is about to fall, and Kurgan comes walking down the ramp. And walking may be an understatement because he was basically moving in slow motion. The DOA get the pinfall, and they get the win because Kurgan takes forever to get in the ring. But Skull and 8-Ball try to jump Kurgan. The numbers, excuse me, catch up the DOA. Kurgan locks in the claw again. Officials come out, try to break it up. The Jackal gets in. Don Callis slaps Kurgan, and he basically runs out of the ring.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like Kurgan's like, listen, the slap's getting to be too much behind the curtain or whatever. But Don Callis basically beat everybody to the top of the ramp at this one.
Oh, I mean, he was like the only one that probably had mobility in his legs. And I was very upset. I was like, okay, if we're going to get this damn match again, at least we're going to get a few Stone Cold stunners after the match. Nope. He didn't come out for this one.
I've been trying to figure out why Recon looks so familiar. Do you know who that is?
Recon. No.
He's Bull Buchanan.
Is it?
Yeah, I saw his face in this matchup, and I went, "Oh, wait a second, that's B squared."
I gotta check this out again.
Yeah,
I think I just don't stare very intently at these freaking things when they're on,
and I don't blame you one bit. We go to commercial break because why wouldn't you after that crap? And then we get the Twix rewind, and we get a look back at Kane and the Undertaker standing tall together the week before, but we don't come back with Paul Bear's promo. We come back with DX.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a reminder after about 4 milliseconds that China got a boob job because Hunter gets in the ring and points at them right away. And it says China's boobs are like the sun. You're not supposed to look at them, but once you start, you can't look away.
Yeah.
And then Shawn's standing there and just staring at her. And then he gets caught and he looks away and he's staring at her, gets caught and looks away. But Hunter says that Owen's been talking a lot of trash. And Owen stepped up to the plate last week without a wooden bat. But Hunter brought the lumber. And he holds up his crutch because obviously last week in the main event, Hunter hit Owen over the head with his crutch to give up the DQ. Mm-hmm. He tells all the ladies in attendance not to worry because there's a lot more wood where that came from. He calls Owen Hart out and asks him to float back up to the surface so he can flush him again. So the nugget thing isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
No. And did he call him a niblet instead of a nugget? Like I think he jacked it up because I was like niblet.
Sure did.
And it was hard to actually listen to him because I was trying to do kind of like a count on how many times Shawn kept looking down at China's boob.
A lot. The count was a lot.
Yeah. But, just our weekly routine of penis jokes from Triple H.
I thought this was a really bad look for Owen Hart because Owen appears on the Titantron. And we've been promoting Owen as this unhinged, can strike from anywhere, has been coming through the crowd. And yeah, obviously he got reprimanded by Vince McMahon the week prior, or 2 weeks prior now, and was told not to do that anymore. But we just had Stone Cold Steve Austin do it earlier in the night, right?
Yep.
Owen appears up on the Titantron and says he has compassion in his black heart. He wants Hunter to heal up so he can break his other leg because he's got a black heart and black hearts don't feel pain. Why would Owen Hart feel pain if he broke Triple H's leg? I didn't understand this promo.
No, and he was talking over himself and wants him to heal up so he can break his other leg. Why can't you just break his other leg now? Maybe he should just leave talking about legs out of his promos.
Yeah, we've got the kick the leg out of the leg promo with Bret Hart. Now you get this. And we talk about the reason Owen lost his push or didn't get the win over Shawn or, a lot of different reasons that he could have been a star. You got to wonder in an era where you've just got Ken Shamrock laying an egg on the microphone. Mm-hmm. You've got Stone Cold Steve Austin. You've got The Rock. You've got DX. And guys that can't hang on the stick probably not going to be pushed to the top alongside of those guys.
Nope, not in this generation or era. Everyone that's over is like damn good, if not
the New Age Outlaws. Perfect example.
And like they have Billy, who's not super great, so just have him be the muscle with Road Dogg taking the stick. So yeah, these guys are flipping and flopping with their promos, and it's not sounding good or looking good.
And Hunter almost kills Owen off immediately by doing the ooh at his promo, and he says that Owen's a pain, and he wishes he could tell us where, but he tells Owen Hart to watch his back because DX is bigger than all of us. Talked about how great of a talker Hunter was. I don't know what that meant, but Shawn doesn't talk at all. He just poses with the belt here.
And stares.
What's that?
And stares.
Yeah, but we kind of find out why, because he's going to close out the show, and he's in a state that's not great.
Speaking of bad promos later on,
Yeah.
we'll get to that at the end of the show here.
But while Shawn's posing with the belt, Hunter makes an X over his crotch with his crutches. So Owen Hart's up next. So this looks even worse. So not only did Owen not come out to face DX, he's up next and coming out anyway.
Yeah.
So
why do we do the Titantron?
To me, they should have probably done this at the beginning of the show if they knew Owen wasn't going to be up to snuff on the mic, and because this just makes him look like a coward.
Yeah, it made no sense to me, and the match was what it was, and we'll talk about it here. I honestly, from this point going for the rest of the show, I was not really a big fan of the rest of the episode.
Yeah, well, and I want to talk about it. We're not going to show it on here, but we come back to the second hour and we get the slam of the week, and it's Shotgun Saturday Night, Vader hitting a moonsault on a jobber, and we've kind of alluded to this a little bit, Mike. We felt like a lot of the reason that Netflix probably didn't have a lot of these episodes of Raw, and it's because of the artist formerly known as Goldust, and he's in a match tonight with Flash Funk, and he comes out in blackface, and it's just in poor taste and not really worth reviewing. To all reports indicate that Too Cold Scorpio didn't even know he was doing this, and there was a legit problem with it. So we're not even going to entertain it with reviewing it on this podcast. If you really care about this, I wonder why. And we'd prefer if you didn't watch our podcast, if we're being honest. But YouTube it if you really feel like you need to do that.
For sure.
But we also get a recap of Stone Cold Steve Austin and his threats at the beginning of the show, mentioning, hey, listen, everybody that's in the Royal Rumble needs to be on alert because Steve Austin's looking for him. Jerry Lawler joins Jim Ross for the War Zone, which opens this week for the first time with its own theme song, because they'd been using the theme song that we used at the beginning of our podcast, but also the open to the show. They come back with a Jim Johnson original to open up the second hour for basically the next 9 months when the War Zone hits the second hour of the show. But as we mentioned, Owen Hart takes on Savio Vega next, and the Los Boricuas come out rapping in Spanish. And not one single person in the building could have seemed to care about this. But we give them enough time to finish their song. So that's good, I guess.
Something. And actually, by the end of the whole segment, like, this was probably the biggest thing they've ever done as a group. Like,
I don't even think it's close, actually.
But I mean, we're here, so like we randomly have Owen Hart thrown with these guys, so let's make the best of it, I guess.
Yeah, and they do, and I think that's important to point out. Like we're getting to the point outside of everything with the Truth Commission that there seems to be and maybe there's a point to that. They're trying to get Kurgan over too,
right?
So I guess maybe outside of the DOA, but we get reminded again for like the 6th week in a row that Owen Hart is the youngest of 12 kids. And Jerry Lawler, with maybe the line of the night, says, Stu and Martha Hart produced more tragedies than Shakespeare. Obviously, he had that great rivalry with Bret Hart. So this is a nice dig from the King.
For sure. And that's definitely not the worst thing he's ever said about the Harts. So,
and that stuff was to their face.
Yes. King was a glorious prick back then, too.
But Owen comes out hot. It's a clothesline, a hip toss, and a Luthez press. And DX comes out on stage. Obviously, you've got to have some sort of distraction here. I was really interested to see what they're going to do because Hunter's injury is legit. It's a knee dislocation, and it's going to take some time to heal. Owen gets a 10 count of punches in the corner. Crowd pops huge for him. And then I didn't know what we were doing here. So Owen does 3 lariats to Savio Vega, and Savio, in his best impersonation of Andre the Giant, doesn't go down. And I had to look this up. Savio Vega is all of 5'11", and that might be generous. But it takes a spinning wheel kick to knock Savio off of his feet. And Owen locks in the sharpshooters. In the sharpshooter, the Boricuas, despite having an official come down halfway through this match to kick them out, are still at ringside. Owen puts in the sharpshooter, and clearly Jesus wasn't supposed to be up on the apron yet because he just stood there for like 14 seconds while Owen was pointing at Shawn and Hunter. Clearly not supposed to be up on the apron yet, but the hard cam just shoots him the whole time. Owen gets up, knocks Jesus off the apron. Savio tries to get in a cheap shot, but Owen counters, rolls him up, and gets the pin. So Owen, as he rightfully should have, beats Savio Vega, but gets jumped on the outside after he tries going up to DX. The Boricuas are jumping and beating him down.
Yes.
And I'm sure a lot of people are like, "Oh my, they're not putting Los Boricuas with DX. Please tell me they're not doing this," because that would have been my thought in 1997. But they beat down Owen Hart and they carry him up to the top of the stage, and Hunter smacks him around a little bit, and Shawn Michaels hands the Boricuas a stack of 20s, and then Commissioner Slaughter comes out and just tells everybody to go backstage.
Yes.
I didn't understand what the point of him coming out there was.
No, and I feel like his stuff is just it's done. Like,
yeah,
you don't need to be involved in this anymore.
Man, I remember him being better at this than he is, because the boot camp match at the pay-per-view stuff aside, because of his limitations at his age, which is, people forget, 49, not 59 at this point.
Right.
Just his stuff on the mic just isn't going well, and I understand they're kind of making him look like the joke here, and it's on purpose. But it's just, the character is just bad in my opinion.
It's just kind of like a wah-wah. Kind of like when, like in 2018, 2019, Corbin was all over the place being the authority figure. Man, you're not fitting with the show here. Just back off. I mean, they fit as well as the Boricuas with DX.
Yeah. Well, we're also like pushing that everybody on the other channel's old. But the guy that headlined WrestleMania 8 with Hulk Hogan is now the committee. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's just a square peg, round hole, in my opinion.
Yep. Go ahead.
Speaking of round, Paul Bearer comes out next, and he says he's very disheveled. Looks like he hasn't showered in 4 weeks, and probably been in the bottle of a Jack Daniels bottle. He says that he hopes that Shawn Michaels destroys The Undertaker, and I'm not going to do a Paul Bearer impersonation here because I respect all of your eardrums more than that to do that. But this goes for 7 minutes. And I get it. We're trying to hammer home that Kane has left Paul Bearer, and it's The Undertaker's fault. And he said he can't find Kane. And there's signs in the crowd, which I thought was really interesting, for the brothers' instruction to be together. People want this. They don't want them to fight. They saw how great that looked last week. And it looks like, for the time being, Paul Bearer has lost Kane, and he's with The Undertaker.
And Paul Bearer did such a good job. It did go way too long, but the coming out all disoriented and looking like hell because he feels like he's lost everything.
Yep.
Like, the appearance was awesome. And for modern fans, it reminds me of like whenever Paul was there, Paul Heyman was there without Roman. His hair would get darker.
Clearly something that he stole from this moment, I think, in my opinion.
For sure. And I don't know why not have Kane on TV this week. Maybe just to keep the mystique building, since we're also trying to do the Shawn Taker build.
And Undertaker's not on this show for very long either.
No.
We'll get
Paul
to
Bearer,
that.
like, has more screen time than Undertaker by like 700%.
Yeah. We get a flash to the backstage. The glass doesn't break, but Stone Cold's coming out of a locker room and saying, "Look what I just did to the world's strongest man." The cameraman goes through the locker room door. He doesn't have to catch a door this week, but he goes through one. And Mark Henry's laid out with the Headbangers backstage. So Stone Cold strikes again, and I have to wonder if they pivoted a little bit because of the crowd stuff and did this one backstage, because the whole first hour everything was out in front of the crowd.
Yes, it was. I think they were trying to get the stunner over. I thought, like, because that's the Big Bang and also,
I hope that works for them. I hope they're able to get that move over.
For sure. And kind of, I did think it was kind of funny from the pay-per-view, because Mark Henry said he was a big fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
Well, doesn't matter, Mark. He's still going to kick your ass.
DTA, buddy.
That's right.
We get the big payoff of Tom Brady versus Marc Mero next. And I say that with all of the sarcasm in the world. But we get a recap of the public humiliation that Sable has had to overcome over the last couple of weeks. And Tom Brady has kind of been the knight in shining armor. So this thing we've been doing for a month and a half now is paid off on a non-main event portion of Raw. The best part about all this, Kevin Nash no showed Starrcade 97 because he legitimately had a heart attack scare. but some guy in the crowd has a sign that says, "Welcome back, Kevin Nash." So I'm sure somewhere on the dirt sheets in 1997, there was a rumor that Kevin Nash didn't show up to Starrcade because he was going back to New York.
Oh yeah, anything with those guys, it was probably bigger than life than it actually was on anything that they did. So it was a fun little nugget on there. And pay-per-view or not, I'm happy we're paying off one of these dog shit feuds.
I'm just happy it's over. I'm just happy it's over. I'd rather they just didn't pay it off, just canceled it.
Fair enough.
But before the match, we get a recap of all the stuff that Mero's done to Sable, making her come down in a reindeer outfit, in a burlap sack, etc., 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 and how Tom Brandi has been this knight in shining armor, I guess.
Yeah. Whoever the hell he is.
Yeah. But before the match starts, Mero uses Sable as a shield on the outside, literally throws her at Tom Brandi to get on the offense. Mero goes on the offense quickly, and the Sable chants are through the roof. I mean, honestly, next to Stone Cold Steve Austin, I guess maybe even Sonny to some degree on the show, the camera follows her around as well. People are digging what she's doing right now. It's pre-internet, so people are all about it.
Yep, and that's all it's got to be, because I mean, she's not a good promo, and as we see in this match, the bump she takes, not something that's something to be inspired.
We'll get to that in a minute too, because Brandi knocks Mero on the outside and lands on top of Sable. When you go back and watch this is one of the few episodes at this point that wasn't live. Marc Mero falls out of the ring and clearly misses Sable, and then there's a redirect of the camera shot where he lands on top of her. They had to do this take more than once, folks. But Tom Brandi tries to pick her up and take her backstage, and after he actually hoists her up, Mero gives him a double axe handle while he's holding Sable and sends Brandi into the ring steps, throws him in the ring. Jerry Lawler wants to know if Sable needs some mouth-to-mouth, but she hurt her ankle, so Jim Ross isn't letting him go over and do that. Mero hits the TKO, and we're about to get a pin and signals for the second one, but Stone Cold Steve Austin, he actually slithers into the ring here, and I don't know if this is intentional or if his foot got stuck, but if he intended to, it looked great, and he stunners Mero, does some shadow boxing. Notice the Sable on the outside of the ring, gives kind of a grin to the crowd, gives her a little interaction on the outside, but then Sable stares Austin down as he runs, or as he walks up the ramp. He turns around and gives a 3-1-6 to the crowd. I don't remember him ever doing that, and I thought that was really cool here.
Yeah, and it worked out for the night for sure, because he said, once any of your pagers go off with that 3-1-6, your ass belongs to Stone Cold, and that was his last appearance for the night. So let's try to get something over Mike. For it. Had to ask you, Jimmy, we got 4 Stone Cold stunners tonight on The Rock, Ken Shamrock.
Oh, should we grade the stunners of the evening? Is that what we're doing here?
I was thinking for the cells. Let's see who had the best, who had the worst.
Listen, I mean, I don't know anybody that takes it better than the Rock. This one was pretty good too, but Marc Mero took it pretty nicely as well. I'm gonna put Rock at the top, and I'm gonna put Mark Henry at the bottom just because we didn't see it.
I gotta do. Actually, I liked Ken's the most because I felt like his just at least tonight just had the whiplash. The best taunt was by the shadow boxing for me. That was hilarious when he got up after Mero.
we know that this feud doesn't go anywhere because Marc Mero has to job out to his wife here in the next couple of months. But this is clearly the planting of those seeds that let's see if Johnny B. Bad could live up to the goods, and if he can, we're gonna put him with a top guy here. But like, listen, I get where Steve came from, not wanting to lose to a guy that just got beat by a woman. I get that. But it's also kind of like, why would I feud with this guy who's jobbing out to Sal Sincere some nights too? Like, I
feel like that's more disrespectful. At least Sable draws money.
Same. Speaking of drawing money, we come back with the New Age Outlaws who are in the ring. Or sorry, they're not in the ring. We get a recap of Chainsaw Charlie's debut a week ago. And now we get the Outlaws coming out with Road Dogg back on the microphone. Thank goodness. I don't think Billy Gunn ever touches the mic again from here on out to start their promos, and that's for the best. But JR reminds us the LOD are on the shelf after Hawk got his mohawk shaved. Animal got put through the table a few weeks ago, and they will challenge the Outlaws for the championship at the Royal Rumble. The crowd is chanting still. We haven't seen them in 3 weeks. They're still chanting for the LOD at the Outlaws.
Yeah, and I honestly thought they were done for a bit too, but they announced them for that Royal Rumble match. And it's just a testament too that LOD is still over. They're still getting cheered. Pardon me. But yeah, this week was, I don't know why we're going back to the Headbangers. I mean, we can't have the Outlaws and Chainsaw Charlie and Mick Foley for every week, I guess. But I was like, that was such a hot angle last week, and it just kind of felt like it kind of dampered this week.
Well, as you mentioned, we get the match at the Royal Rumble, but it's a very short stint match, and it's kind of alluded to what happens here. But as you mentioned, the Road Dogg tells the Headbangers the only way they're going to beat them for the titles is if they stick where the sun doesn't shine. And Thrasher lifts up his skirt and shows his ass to Road Dogg, which I thought was really funny. But we also find out that Don King will speak next after this match. So we've got these two guys that we're building up as big deals in Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, and then we're putting behind them basically one of the top draws for WrestleMania. So even an even bigger deal of making these guys feel like they're super important.
For sure, and very, very smart. Road Dogg and Billy have done nothing but prove themselves for I don't know how long at this point, and especially as a tag team. So, let's reward that and put one of our ads for something huge we're doing and a big celebrity on the tail end of their little intro there.
And we get a little bit of nothing in this match. I mean, it's Irish whips and corner bumps and all that until Billy drops Thrasher on his head. He goes for a back body, or not a backdrop, a side backdrop, and Thrasher legitimately lands on the top of his head here. And then the Godwins appear on stage. And we got 2 weeks ago on Shotgun Saturday Night, the Godwins said that the Outlaws still owe them a tag championship match. And Mosh gets the hot tag here, and then the Godwins leave. So they do nothing. They contribute nothing to this other than standing on the ramp. And my God, is Phineas ugly. Dennis Knight, I'm sorry. I'm glad you shaved your head, my bald brother, because you look much better without hair. But the Headbangers hit a really good-looking flapjack, and they go for the stage dive. But Billy, I want to say it counters it, but he ends up just like rolling up over the top of Thrasher. Mosh misses, and Billy gets a roll-up, and the Outlaws win. The Outlaws start to jump the Headbangers, and I thought we were going to get another Austin appearance here. But Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack come out, and they run off the Outlaws. Charlie misses Cactus by about this much with a live, legit chainsaw to the point you could see the fear in Mick's face when it happens. But he's just flailing around. And listen, we know this is a nothing gimmick, and it's Terry Funk, and whatever you want to say about it, this is entertaining as hell, man.
Fun, for sure. And, it's a very cool visual on TV, but probably definitely for the live fans with the chainsaw on the ring post, get the sparks going and everything.
They clearly loved it a week ago on TV because they did it again here.
Keep doing it, sparks. Yeah. And I also thought StoneCold was coming out, but these guys are pretty hot act. They're their damn selves. So let's get them out there too, because last week was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's about to get even more fun. I mean, we know what happens next week. We'll obviously carry that, or I think it's actually 2 weeks. What happens to set up this tag team feud between these guys? But we get Don King next, and I don't know how much they were trying to sweet talk Don King here, but they refer to him as an emperor, a monarch, the king of promotion. Like they just everything they could possibly do to put Don King over, they do. But Don King says his creative juices are flowing like never before. We're going to bring you the greatest pay-per-view explosion you've ever seen with WrestleMania and Mike Tyson. But pauses, but lets us know there's still some T's that need to be crossed and I's that need to be dotted. And he makes sure to mention, don't turn the channel. 4th time tonight, we're getting a reference that go ahead and put that remote down because something may happen. He says, Vince McMahon and I will get it done. We'll see you March 29th at WrestleMania 14. I can't wait. We're 12 weeks out, and we get that reminder before the end of the night. Shawn Michaels is about to come out to do his promo. But for the first time, we see the WrestleMania 14 graphic. Yes. We're not even to the Royal Rumble yet. We're still 13 days away from the Royal Rumble, which makes us give a cause for the pause here and let's remind you that we're actually going to do a Royal Rumble rewatch, and we hope that you could join us on August 6th at 8:30 p.m. Standard Central Time. We're going to watch the entire pay-per-view live. You can watch it along with us on Peacock. Watch the next 4 Raws in the Raw Vault on Netflix, but watch the Royal Rumble along with us and watch live. We'll give us your comments, your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us an oh hell yeah
Oh hell yeah
in the comments below, and watch the entire Royal Rumble live with us. We hope you could join us. But that is March 29th in 1998. It is August 6th in 2025. But we do get the WWF champion next. And he comes out, and we get a recap of the Hell in the Cell. We mentioned it a little bit ago, and they show the chair shot with the blood, and they show Kane coming out, and just everything that went into the match and how brutal it really was. Shawn falling off to the table. Just a fantastic
phenomenal match. Yeah, absolutely. Like it until their Mania matches, it's like, how are these guys ever going to top that one? And then, just an awesome debut of Kane. I kind of a little sad that we never got a maybe on a special episode we'll go back and rewatch that one. But
I don't know if I've told this, and I don't know why we keep putting our dads over, but I guess we'll continue to do that. But
hey, Tom.
Bad Blood 97 was actually the very first pay-per-view my dad ever paid money for.
Oh, really?
For our house. So, so that one's always near and dear to my heart because it's actually the first pay-per-view that I got to watch live and didn't have to wait for Blockbuster to get the VHS. Shout out to Blockbuster. Don't forget to rewind your tapes.
Right, be kind of rewind.
But here comes the WWF champion, and we kind of alluded to it earlier. Obviously, he was out with Hunter and China earlier in the night. He comes out alone here. Shawn is clearly off the wagon at this point. He looks really, really rough.
Just tripping over his words, slurring.
Yeah.
Just not looking good, and not. And I was wondering if that's why they got rushed, because he lost himself and where he was headed. Because as we're about to see, like, this goes off like real quick.
And obviously, Taker's talked about it now that he's doing podcasting and all that. But like the fact of how constant of a professional he was and left all that stuff for after the show, and he's having to deal with this with a guy ran off one of Taker's pretty good buddies and Bret Hart, and there's all, listen, we covered the screw job and all that, but the fact that he's got to go out and deal with this and not really in the shape that he should be. Shawn mentions that DX called out Owen Hart earlier, and he didn't have the guts to come out. So he's going to call out somebody, see if they have the guts to come out and face the man around here, the showstopper, the main event, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And Shawn hoists the belt up in the air, and he stumbles backwards when he does it. And he mentions that he's beaten Taker 2 times, and Taker's got to be a glutton for punishment. He's going to prove to the Undertaker he's nothing but a loser, and puts the L on his forehead. Because it's very 1998. Yep. Kids, Google L's on foreheads. It was a thing. And I hate to spoil stuff, but he does this continually for the next 2 weeks. I don't know why we have to do this, but we do.
I think he just like learned it for the first time, so he's like, nice.
Yeah, kind of what it felt like. But Shawn's walking out of the Royal Rumble as the WWF champion, he says, but he's going to give Taker and the fans to get a little something extra tonight, and slurred his way through that as I almost just did there, 100% sober. So maybe I shouldn't give Shawn too much of a flack. But it says Taker needs to bring his big dead carcass out here so he can smack him around in front of the whole damn world. And Taker's music hits. Here comes the Druids with the DX casket that we saw from a week ago, and in real time, I was like, are we really doing this again? And then Shawn kind of starts to play along, and he kind of laughs, and he says he's begging for some originality here. He says Triple H China could have done something a little better than that. This is what he did last week, he tells us. And then he tells him to come on, knocks on the casket, nothing happens. He goes, oh, I forgot the password. Okay, break it down, which we heard Hunter do last week, and nothing happens. Here comes China and Hunter. But they're up on the stage, not in the casket, trying to get Shawn's attention. And Shawn says, well, if you two were up there, who's in here? And Taker pops out of the casket, pulls him in. We get a look in the casket, which is just a black screen, and we fade to black. And that's our episode of Monday Night Raw from January 5th, 1998, to start off the new year. Mike, we forgot to grade our episode last week, which we apologize. We got a lot of flack for that. We will grade it this week. I gave it a C+. I could have done without the DO. I think I'm at the point where I'm never going to get an episode in A again, as long as the Truth Commission of the DOA and the Los Bricos are still around. I'm standing my ground. I'm not going to do it. I'm gonna give it a C plus just because the Owen Hart stuff up on the Titantron, the Ken Shamrock. I loved. Listen, I bought a shirt just so I could wear it for this episode. I loved all the stuff with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everything else just left something to be desired.
And that's why I have my grade at a C minus. It was going D plus, like, because when I got to the second half of the show, I was like D plus. But then I remembered, all right, the Steve Austin stuff was good. I'll bump it up to a C minus. So I hope that's my lowest one for a while, but next week's got some competition, but
yeah,
we'll
for sure. But hey, listen, we hope you stick around and watch Analyzing Attitude next week as we break this down. It is the go-home show before the Royal Rumble. A reminder, August 6th, 8:30 p.m. Standard Central Time. Join us live on YouTube. Leave comments. Watch the whole pay-per-view along with us. I'm Jimmy Allen. Don't forget to follow the show at AnalyzingTude on YouTube, or excuse me, on Twitter. Like and subscribe here on YouTube. Give us an oh, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Down in the comments below. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. That was just a glimpse into what Analyzing Attitude has to offer. If you liked what you saw here, here's what we suggest next for you. And
if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Like and subscribe.